congratulations. This film nominated for a Golden Globe yesterday.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And for those who don't know, this is based on the making of an actual film called The Room.
Yeah, there's a movie called The Room, not Room with Brie Larson, which is a great movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jacob Tremblay is darling and emotionally available. But this is a movie called The Room with Tommy Wiseau, who James Franco plays. He wrote it, directed it, stars in it, produced it, financed it himself, marketed it himself, and it is known for being one of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that it actually developed like a cult following, and people like me started seeing it with their friends and telling people to see it, and it became kind of like a Rocky Horror Picture Show-esque experience where it was kind of interactive with the audience, and they would participate in kind of just the glory of how absolutely ridiculously terrible it is. To the point that people start liking it, though. And honestly, like, I've watched it so many times, I kind of love it. And we made a whole movie about it. And there's something great about it. And because you keep watching it. Like, and if it was bad, you're like, why am I watching this over and over again? Why have I seen this more than I've seen, like, good movies? And so, yeah, it's endlessly fascinating subject.
Who introduced it to you? It came out in 2003. Did you see it pretty early on, do you think?
Yeah, I saw about a year and a half maybe after it came out. Paul Rudd, I think, was the first one who mentioned it to me, and he had seen it. And then I went and saw it with my wife, who I was dating at the time, and Jonah Hill and Ed Helms, actually.
Wow.
At the Sunset Laemmle 5. And it was mostly empty. And there was just kind of people starting to interact with it. But it's catastrophically, bizarrely bad.
So I knew about the movie. I hadn't seen it, but I used to draw, when I would visit LA, you would see this billboard. And so this billboard was up for a while.
Years. And that's the marketing I was referring to. Tommy paid to keep that up. It had a website, theroommovie.com. There was a phone number, and you would call it, and you didn't need to, because you could just go to the theater and buy tickets. And the phone number was just Tommy's phone number, and he would just answer the phone and just say, like, are you coming to movie? And he would be like, yeah, I'm coming to the movie. And he'd be like, great, see you there. And that was the entirety of the interaction. And there was also, he ran TV commercials really late at night that I'd seen a few of, and I asked him about it, and he said, he said they were on so late at night they were free. And that, like, it was literally at a time where there was just nothing else. So they let him put his ridiculous ads up for his movie.
It's fantastic. You were a producer on the film from the start, but then you decided to play a part. We saw the part you were playing there in the clip. How did you decide to play that character?
Oh, he was like the only guy around my age, I think, who was. But
you're making producing sound very
exactly.
easy. Yeah,
it was. And I played Sandy Sclair is his name, and he was the script supervisor of The Room, and sort of directed it a little bit. As you can see, he kind of like calls action and helps with the lines. And he later claimed he directed the movie, which shows what a weird thing it is, because it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
So this guy's taking credit for it, like we're suing, hoarding the credit for creating something that is only famous because it's bad. It's so weird. It's a very weird thing. Yeah.
Do you think Tommy, looking back, is happy? Obviously, this film has succeeded to the place where it's being adapted by all these great actors and writers and directors, but it was not what he set out to make.
No, and that is like an interesting moment to me, is like he did have to kind of readjust what his goal was. He had to pretend his goal was to make a ridiculous comedy, whereas his goal was really to make like a heartfelt drama. But his goal was also to become a famous movie star, which he kind of is now in some way, and a famous filmmaker, which he kind of is now in some way. We had James Franco plays him in the movie. He wanted Johnny Depp, but we got James Franco. But what's weird is like I was just looking at him at the premiere. It was a big premiere, and like a lot of famous people are there. A lot of famous people are in the movie. and he is behaving in such a way as though he always expected it to happen.
Yeah.
And like, I would say, just as, like, my only other experience is I played Steve Wozniak in a movie, and like, that guy invented computers, and he was blown away we were making a movie about him. Like, he couldn't believe it. This guy made the worst movie of all time, and it's as though not only was he expecting a movie to be made about him, he's a little pissed. It's like it wasn't 5 years ago, basically, and that Johnny Depp isn't playing him, and instead James Franco is. He's a weird dude.
You saw him before even you began to talk about adapting a story. You would see him in LA. You saw him at grocery stores.
I'd see him in Whole Foods. Me and Jonah actually would shop at the same Whole Foods, and he first saw him there and sent me a picture of him like in front of like cantaloupes with Tommy. And I was like, oh my God. And like, and then I knew, I was like, and I would keep my eye out open for him. And then I saw him one time and I took a picture with him. And then years later, when we were making the movie, he like instantly, you take picture with me one time at grocery store. You big fan of mine. You a real big fan of mine. You like me. Yeah, Tommy.